Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into a massive, honestly pretty fascinating puzzle: the rapidly changing world of electric vehicle charging infrastructure. If you've been following the EV space at all, you know we're way past the early adopter phase. We're hitting some very real, literal roadblocks. But the solutions popping up to bypass those roadblocks, they are nothing short of brilliant. Let's get into it.
So picture this. You're stranded. Maybe you're on a super remote highway, or maybe you're just stuck deep in a dense urban neighborhood. But either way, your EV battery is totally dead. Historically, this is a massive logistical nightmare. But how you get back on the road is fundamentally changing as we speak. We're not just looking at static, fixed charging stations anymore. We're looking at dynamic, mobile solutions that literally bring the electric grid right to you.
And honestly, we have to figure this out right now because the scale of what's coming is just immense. To put this into perspective, the International Energy Agency projects a staggering 145 million EVs worldwide by 2030. 145 million. That is an explosive jump from the roughly 10 million we have today. With numbers like that, there is just no way we can dig up every single street and pour enough concrete for fixed chargers to meet that demand. It's a massive infrastructure challenge, and we've got to solve it immediately. So let's look at Section 1, the EV infrastructure bottleneck. Let's break down the specific roadblocks that are actually stalling our electric future. The Massachusetts Clean Energy Center, or MassCEC, has done a great job boiling these down to a few key hurdles. See, it's not just a simple lack of chargers. Right now, fleet operators and property owners are dealing with agonizing facility upgrade delays. Sometimes they're waiting months, literally just for their installed equipment to get turned on. On top of that, you've got these highly restrictive lease agreements that totally block tenants from putting in permanent infrastructure. Throw in severe space and grid constraints in tight urban areas, and yeah, it's a perfect storm holding back deployment. So how on earth do we get around this?
That brings us to Section 2, hacking the urban grid.
It is super interesting to see how innovative companies are getting highly creative to bypass these massive grid constraints. Just take a look at dense urban environments, like the tight neighborhoods up in Boston. For the millions of apartment dwellers living in cities like this, pulling into a private driveway to charge just isn't an option. We have to figure out a way to bring the plug directly to the street and do it so seamlessly that it doesn't completely disrupt the flow of the city.
And here's the contrast between two incredibly smart solutions tackling that exact problem. On one hand, you have VoltPost. They're taking existing streetlights and transforming them into charging stations. By upgrading a standard lamppost to 240 volts, they offer the slick plug-and-play installation without having to dig up the sidewalk at all, supporting 2 to 4 charges per post. Now, look at Electric on the other side. Totally different approach. They actually tap into the spare 40-amp capacity of adjacent buildings, which is roughly what a large home appliance uses. It costs the property owner absolutely nothing to install, uses a detachable cable to stop vandalism, and get this, the building owner actually gets a 20% cut of the revenue. Both are amazing ways to avoid massive construction while expanding the public network.
But, okay, once you actually install this new curbside real estate, how do you manage it? The city of Somerville, Massachusetts offers a really fascinating case study here. They just recently implemented a 25-cent per kilowatt-hour fee for their public chargers, which used to be completely free, by the way, through a program called Charge for Charge. Now, the goal here isn't necessarily just to make money, it's heavily behavioral. By charging parity rates, they heavily incentivize turnover. It stops people from just camping out at the plug all day, reduces misuse, and ultimately promotes the longevity of the whole network. But what if you aren't anywhere near a lamppost or a building? What if you just need emergency power right where you stand? Enter Section 3, mobile charging to the rescue. Just look at the stark contrast in this recovery model. If you are one of the unlucky 4% whose breakdown is caused by a dead battery, traditional roadside assistance is, well, it's agonizing. You wait hours for a tow truck, you get hauled all the way to a fixed station, and then you have to wait again to charge. Mobile EV charging completely flips this on its head. Instead of moving your heavy car to the power, an on-demand Level 3 fast charger arrives directly at your stranded vehicle, and charging begins right there on the spot. It is a massive, absolutely crucial shift in roadside support. And let me tell you, big money is backing this shift. A company called BeeCharged EV just secured $7 million in funding, with $3.2 million of that specifically carved out just for deploying charging equipment. Through a really smart partnership with Urgently, they're bringing nationwide Level 3 ultra-fast charging directly to stranded EV drivers in major metro areas. They are essentially building out this flexible, human-powered mobile grid to make sure nobody ever feels range anxiety inside a city again. And for those truly off-the-grid emergencies or maybe severe weather situations, the tech gets even more robust. Check this out. Door Energy deploys these heavy-duty, trailer-mounted chargers capable of delivering a massive 420 kilowatts of DC power. Because these are off-grid solutions, they don't need to be hooked up to the local power lines at all. That makes them absolutely perfect for remote locations, highways, or high-intensity rescues where standard infrastructure just literally does not exist. But hey, this mobile tech isn't just for stranded commuters. It is completely revolutionizing how we handle massive commercial vehicles, too. Let's jump into Section 4, Powering Heavy-Duty Fleets. State governments are finally recognizing that commercial fleet operators simply cannot wait years to upgrade their depots. Up in Massachusetts, the Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Coordinating Council just awarded Mass CEC a whopping $38 million to increase charging access. This fully enrolled program is going to see rolling deployments all the way through February 2026. And the focus? Medium and heavy-duty Class 3 through 8 fleets. We're talking everything from your local delivery box trucks all the way up to massive semi-trailers. By using semi-permanent off-grid mobile solutions, they can speed up electrification without forcing these fleets to make immediate, massively expensive infrastructure investments. And this kind of speed builds incredible momentum for fleet operators. Just look at the timeline from a company like Electric Fish. Because their mobile EV charging solutions require zero construction, zero digging, and zero permitting, the deployment speed is honestly staggering. An operator can place an order, have the unit built, shipped, installed, and be fully operational, even generating revenue from grid services in just 2 months. 2 months. That speed is a total game changer for commercial logistics. SparkCharge adds another really fascinating layer to this commercial flexibility. As their founder Josh Aviv puts it, their service allows energy to literally be moved and delivered around a city. They can just drop off portable batteries directly to a fleet depot. Think about what that means. There are zero upfront capital or operational expenses for the property owner. Fleet operations literally never have to halt while waiting on a utility company to approve some complex facility upgrade. Now, of course, delivering this kind of massive, portable electricity to heavy freight vehicles doesn't come totally cheap. SparkCharge notes that while costs can get down to around 60 cents, for the really big freight vehicles, it can cost up to $1.20 per kilowatt hour. But here's why that number actually makes sense. For fleet operators, paying a premium for delivered power is highly viable. Why? Because it completely lets them avoid the frankly catastrophic costs of construction delays and having their vehicles sitting around doing nothing. So stepping back, what does all this innovation mean for the overarching transition to electric mobility? Let's look at Section 5, the future of EV access. The big utility companies are absolutely seeing this shift, and they are adapting. Major players like Eversource, National Grid, and Unitil are actively preparing what's called a midpoint modification proposal for the Department of Public Utilities. Essentially, they're acknowledging that the old bureaucratic red tape, things like the same site rule that used to strictly limit how often cities could get infrastructure grants, well, that tape needs to evolve. We have to support much longer-term, phased-out municipal EV plans to future-proof our grids. What we are really witnessing right now is the empowerment of a brand new workforce entirely dedicated to flexible, scalable climate technology. Whether we're talking about electricians finding ways to hook into a building's excess power, or crews out there upgrading the voltage on city lampposts, or technicians delivering giant 420 kilowatt batteries on the back of a trailer, we are entirely rethinking how power actually reaches the vehicle. The grid as we know it is becoming decentralized, and it's becoming highly mobile, which leaves us with a critical question to consider as we wrap up this explainer. As this incredible new tech, from on-demand mobile rescue chargers to plug-and-play lampposts, completely starts to eliminate our traditional boundaries and range anxiety, how fast will your own neighborhood and your local fleet operators need to adapt to bring the electric grid directly to your curb? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep your eyes on the street. The chargers are literally coming to you.